When audiences walked into theaters in December 1976 expecting a monster movie, they had no idea what they were in for. Sure, they got a giant ape. They got the Empire State Building swapped out for the shiny new World Trade Center, but what they weren't prepared for was Jessica Lange. Or, more specifically, Jessica Lange's legs, that barely there outfit, and a scene so steamy it had parents squirming in their seats. This wasn't your granddad's King Kong. This was Dino De Laurentiis' bold, brash, and unapologetically sexy take on the classic tale, and it was about to set off one of the wildest critical firestorms of the decade. Now let's set the stage. The 1976 remake of King Kong was produced by larger-than-life mogul Dino De Laurentiis and directed by John Gearman. It starred Jeff Bridges as the principled primate biologist Jack Prescott, Charles Grodin as slimy oil exec Fred Wilson, and, making her film debut, Jessica Lange as Dwan, the ingenue in distress, whose name change from Dawn was meant to be more memorable. Spoiler, it worked! This was Lange's first role, and although the studio initially dismissed her, her screen test wowed producers. Lange, a high-fashion model with mime training in Paris, had something you couldn't fake: presence. And when she showed up on screen in a sheer, wet dress, laughing, pouting, and flirting with a 40-foot gorilla, people paid attention. Critics weren't kind at first. Some called her wooden, others accused the film of cheap eroticism, but over time Lange would prove everyone wrong, racking up Oscars and acclaim. The film's plot follows a familiar outline, but with a 70s twist. The Petrox Explorer, owned by an oil conglomerate, is headed to a mysterious fog-shrouded island that might be rich in petroleum. Jack Prescott stows aboard suspecting ecological foul play. En route, they rescue Dwan from a life raft after a yacht explosion. Once on Skull Island, the crew meets a primitive tribe who promptly sacrificed Dwan to the local deity, Kong. But this ape isn't just a mindless monster. He's gentle, emotional, and protective. As Fred Wilson realizes there's no oil to be had, he switches gears. He'll bring Kong to America as a living billboard for Petrox. What follows is mayhem in Manhattan and a tragic climax atop the Twin Towers. Here's the thing. This King Kong wasn't just about spectacle. It was about the 1970s. The film oozes metaphors. Kong as oil, the ultimate exploited natural resource. Skull Island, a land of innocence, is raped by corporate greed. Petrox's Wilson isn't just a businessman. He's described as an environmental rapist. Even Dwan, chasing fame, represents how modern culture commodifies people. As critic John Kenneth Muir put it, Kong is exploited twice, first by Wilson for profit, then by Dwan for celebrity. She tells Kong, "You're going to America to be a star." It's heartbreaking because it's true. He's not going as a king, but a commodity. Dino De Laurentiis didn't skimp on ambition. He built a 40-foot-tall, 3-ton mechanical Kong that cost $1.7 million and took 20 operators to move. Its rubber skin was made from over 1,000 pounds of Argentinian horsetails. Giant hydraulic arms were constructed for scenes where Kong holds Lange, and one infamous incident had the robotic hand flipping the bird and getting stuck that way for a week. But in the end, most of what we saw on screen wasn't that robot, it was Rick Baker, inside an ape suit, sweating buckets, and giving one of the most expressive performances in creature feature history. And yes, let's talk about that waterfall scene. You know the one. Dwan, covered in mud, is gently washed by Kong under a glistening cascade. It's slow, sensual, and arguably erotic. Too erotic, some said. Critics accused the scene of crossing a line into softcore territory. But Lange sells it. There's a moment where she giggles, coos, and then calms the beast with a look that's pure movie magic. Combined with John Barry's lush score, it's unforgettable and deeply strange. Was it romantic? Disturbing? Both? That ambiguity is what makes it fascinating. Despite its visual highs, the movie struggled with some obvious flaws. The final act, set atop the World Trade Center, was plagued by special effects issues. Blue screen shots mismatched scale, lighting felt inconsistent, and the helicopters attacking Kong looked painfully cheap. Still, the symbolism was potent. Kong, the exploited foreign resource, lashes out at the heart of Western capitalism, those iconic Twin Towers. It's no accident he dies beneath them. The message is clear. Abuse nature, and nature will fight back. Reception was divided. Some praised its ambition. Others lambasted its excess. Pauline Kael called it an absurdist love story, while Time magazine found it exuberant and confident. Roger Ebert gave it a thumbs up on sneak previews. But many critics couldn't see past their love for the 1933 original. They mocked the ape suit, the casting, even Jeff Bridges' hair. Meryl Streep was famously rejected for being too ugly. A claim made in Italian by De Laurentiis' son, not realizing Meryl spoke the language. She snapped back in perfect Italian. Legend. Yet, despite the scorn, King Kong made over $80 million worldwide on a $24 million budget. It wasn't a flop, it was a financial hit, especially when you factor in merchandising and international sales, and it may have been one of the first modern remake controversies, a forerunner to today's reboot wars. For all its cheese, all its spectacle, King Kong, 1976, dared to be something more. It was about the cost of fame, the rape of nature, and how modern culture devours its own idols. Jessica Lange's performance is emblematic of that. She starts out as a dreamer, ends up a star, and loses her soul somewhere in between. As Kong lies dead, Dwan poses for the cameras, surrounded by paparazzi. Prescott watches her, disgusted. She's gotten what she wanted, the spotlight. But at what cost? Now it's time to hear from you. Did the 1976 King Kong go too far in humanizing the beast and sexualizing the beauty? Or was it just the bold remake nobody saw coming?